ReasonConf is brought to you by our gold sponsors Ahrefs and Chain Street.
Hello, everybody. I wanted to talk about what my company and Tezos in particular has to do with ReasonML, why I'm here, why we decided to sponsor and to give a bit of money to this fantastic community. So what is Tezos? Tezos, it's a cryptocurrency. Has nothing much to do with web development and all these things, but have this idea of developing dApps. So it's also a smart contract platform. It's a platform where you can add some piece of code. These are called the smart contract. The smart contract basically execute some logic in the blockchain. This logic cannot be changed as anything else in the blockchain, and can automate operations like we deposit some money on a smart contract, and this money is going to be released only a month after that, and nothing can change this, and people can trust the smart contract because it's on the blockchain. I don't know, sometimes when I talk about blockchain, I have these faces, buzzwords. I mean, for me, blockchain is just a big piece of technology. I'm not an investor in cryptocurrency. I don't like speculations. This is a personal thing. So here I'm really talking about technology, and this is something that passionates me. It's also a community of people. We raised a lot of money about 2 years ago, and all this money entrusted to a non-profit foundation that is the Tezos Foundation, that is in Switzerland. And this money it's only used for development and kind of the ecosystem of Tezos. So to some extent, this money is also for you if you're interested to work in this world. And the thing that link us to ReasonML, that everything is written in OCaml, and some tiny bits of C that are generated from F# that it's written in OCaml. So I work for Nomadic Labs. So Tezos, it's the cryptocurrency, the foundation, so it's a distributed network. Nomadic Lab, it's one of the company working in this network, and it's a French company, and it's backed up from the Tezos Foundation. It's a strange company because we only do research and development, and we don't try to sell anything. All our software is free and open source. The license it's MIT, and this is one of the other particularity working in this ecosystem. So when you work with us, everything is going to be free and give it back to the public. This is something that personally I really love, being one of these big free software aficionado. In particular, we do the underlying building blocks of the blockchain. We do the nodes, we do the bakers, what we call them, that are the nodes that create new blocks and add them on the blockchain. We work on the consensus algorithm, that is these things that kind of make the nodes talk to each other and decide what is the next block that is going to be added on the blockchain. So we do a lot of groundwork. We have a we have a strong root in academia. As many people that work in the OCaml world, one day or another, they spend some time in a French university. And so we are competing with Facebook, Google, VMware, and many other big companies. And our hiring strategy in the last few years were basically to get all the researchers in French universities and get them with us. So at the moment, we're about 35 people, and 33 of us are ex-academics. So we do we have done a lot of formal methods, and we also bring in this expertise in developing Tezos. And of course, we are all, to some extent, OCaml developers with more or less expertise. So what about ReasonML? We have this smart contract platform, and this smart contract platform, it's very nice, but at the end of the day, it's just kind of a stack-based language that sits on the blockchain, and it's not very useful by itself. You need to build something on top of it. You might have seen Ethereum that did a very nice job in building distributed applications and releasing extensions, SDK, and giving the possibility actually for people and developers to interact with the blockchain and use them as a tool, as a database, let's say, well, a specific kind of database. to store informations. What we'd like is to explore the idea of developing an SDK to deploy and develop applications on top of this smart contract platform. So the smart contract language that it's on the blockchain is called Michelson, and we would like to just go from the smart contract language, so the low-level language that execute the business logic, to the interface, to the user interface. So ReasonML for us, it's a natural choice. Doing JavaScript, TypeScript, it just doesn't fit to our culture. We would like to do something that is closer to OCaml, to the functional programming world, something that maybe we can even verify. So I really like this idea of bringing a bit of formal methods also in the ReasonML community. But we are very new to this. We are learning. Myself, I'm learning. I did a bit of web development once upon a time, but not much into it. So that's why we're reaching out here and trying to talk to you. So the goals is, first of all, is to reuse our code base in web and mobile applications. I found that the ReasonML community is very concerned about interoperability with JS. That is fantastic because it sits on the top, the user interface, but sometimes we like also to reuse all the OCaml libraries on the other side. And this can be done if you compile everything to native code and you translate everything. But when you want to use open packages and OCaml code to translate it to JS, then it becomes a bit more complicated. So we want to provide a solid and maybe opinionated, because if we feel that this is something that works very well, why not have an opinion on it to develop these applications. And at the same time, as I said, we want to follow the best practices and add a lot of testing, verification, and everything. And our ambition is to target mobile, so Android and iOS, web and native development all at once without trying to duplicate too much effort. So more in details, what does adapt does? Adapt needs to talk to a node, so it needs to execute a complex sequence of RPC calls, and this is not just simple get RPC calls. We need to create data structures that we give to the node to create new blocks, operations, and everything on the blockchain. We need to talk to the underlying platform, to the OS, for example, to talk to the ledger, that it's a small hardware component that store your keys, or in iOS and Android to the secure enclave, that nowadays it's on most mobile phones. So this implies that we need some low-level work. We cannot just do it easily from JS. We want to use complex cryptographic primitives. We don't want to re-implement them once again. We want to reuse all our code base that has been battle tested and everything, and if possible, have a nice and reusable interface. So the roadblocks that we're facing, well, first, the community is moving very fast. So it's kind of, if you're a beginner, it's difficult to follow. We are getting into it. We're trying to understand. We are understanding where the development directions are going, and this is all cool. As I said, we want to reuse packages for Reason React development. So at the moment, we have seen that there are two ways. Either we compile everything to the JSO and then we give a ReasonML interface, because, or we just get all our ML files and we give them to buckle scripts and then we hope they will compile. But our ML files are, we have a lot of Dune and complicated build systems, so this is not that straightforward for us. And if we go for a mixed kind of approach, then we're going to face the problem that JSO and BuckleScript have two different memory representations sometimes, so you need to account for all this difference. And there was the first thing that we noticed, and we kind of getting into it very slowly. At the moment, we chose to go for JSO and provide a Reason interface for it. Also about the toolchain, we're trying to understand what is the best way of going. So the build system and the packaging setups using Easy, Open, Dune, Yarn, making packages of some kind. And last is to create some native OCaml binding for platforms, for mobile platforms. So this is my last slide. We are hiring. This is kind of a pitch talk because we need people to explore this world. We are very open to contributions of any kind. So we are looking for experts to write OCaml bindings for Kotlin and Swift to reuse our libraries through the JS to the reactive bridge. And this kind of will give us the possibility of kind of putting a big blob of code compiled for that platform there, and then reuse the interface. We're also looking for some DevOps with some knowledge of OCaml. This is an animal that is really, really difficult to find. If you know somebody, please send them to us. And if if you have a friend that is a sysadmin and is in Paris, please send it to me as well, because this is another difficult things to find. Thank you so much.